A very good morning everyone. In our previous video we have taken three different programs which is based on the virtual function, pure virtual function and abstract class. As I have told you that these five are the topics which is very much important based on the practical exam as well as based on the theory exam. So be careful regarding such and refer the previous video as well as the videos of our today's session. As we know that our unit is divided into the two portions, right? So first portion we are going to complete today, that is pointer, virtual functions and polymorphism and RTTI. Up till that we have completed. In our next session we are going to start with the console IO operations, right? So before starting the today's session, I would like to recall our programs which are based on the previous sessions, because as that program are very much important, so I am going to explain it using the notepad files. This is the first program which we have seen in our previous video, which is based on the virtual function. Now see, when using any single pointer object, when you want to refer the object of any class, such thing can be possible with the virtual function, and virtual function can be declared using the virtual keyword. Now see, over here we have also referred one concept which is known as overriding. I am going to repeat the difference between overriding and overloading once again, because it may ask in the 5 marks during the theory exam. So when you use overloading, at that time the class is same but the function contains different number of arguments, and function contains same name and same return type. So that is called concept of overloading. But when you are going to use overriding, at that time class name is different but the function definition is same for all. Over here we have taken base class, we also take one derived class. In the base class we have created display method and show method. Similarly, display method and show method. But in this particular class, we have taken virtual show method and display is a simple method. Now when you take any method as a virtual method, it takes different functionality. How? That let me explain. Over here we have created one pointer object of base class B1. With the help of B1 I have taken the simple object of base class and created reference to the B1. Now with the help of pointer object I have called display and show method. So naturally the object of base class is created. Similarly, pointer object is also of base class. So in both the cases it will print the method of base class, that is base display, base show. But over here we have created pointer object of base class and we have passed reference of the derived object. So what happens now? See, display is a normal UDF. So when normal function is declared in both the classes, at that time, and when you have pointer object, at that time it refers to the base class function. So you will get base display as a output over here. But remember one thing, that when you have called show method which is declared as a virtual, so it takes different functionality and behavior in the derived class. So when you call this particular statement, it will print derived show. So virtual is nothing but it takes this different behavior in different situation or different classes. Now the second program is based on the virtual only, but when you want to declare any function or any class which contains the function which does not contain any body, that function is known as pure virtual function. And when you declare any function as a pure virtual function, at that time you need to initialize it by 0. That means this function cannot contain any body, and in future, in the time of inheritance, I am going to develop the structure of that particular function. Now one more thing, that when any class contains pure virtual function, at that time you cannot create object of that particular class. This thing I have already shown in the previous video during the practical session, right? That when I am going to perform area A, at that time such thing is not possible because it contains pure virtual function which is declared inside the class area. Now in the rectangle class and triangle class, I have created output method in both the classes. One method called data has been created using by passing pointer variable, and a of output is called. Now see, rectangle class as well as triangle class both contains output method. So which method will be called? Naturally, whatever the object you are giving the reference, that output method has been called. So using this, it will initialize the value of variables of rectangle class. This will initialize the value of triangle class, and using data method you are able to give the reference of T1 object. So first time it will call the rectangle class method, and second time it will call the triangle class output method, and in this way you are able to get the output on the screen. Now let me share the third notepad file which is based on our previous session, which represents the abstract class. Now see, this particular program contains non-virtual method as well as virtual method, but next program contains both the methods as a pure virtual method. So any class which contains only and only pure virtual function is known as abstract class, and again you are not able to create the object of abstract class. So now over here I have taken, or I have created three classes. First is called circle, second is called rectangle, and third is triangle. In all the three classes I have developed area and input. So when you are going to make output function using the pointer object of shape class, which is also referred as a base class, at that time it will call the area method. But which area has been called? Whatever the object you have passed, the reference of that object, using that method you are able to access or call that particular method. Say for example, when you call C1, that is the object of circle class, so it will call C1 of area. Next time when you pass reference of rectangle, at that time it will call the rectangle class area method, and at last it will call the area method of triangle class. So this is all about our previous session. Let us start with the today's session. In our today's session we are going to refer one program which is based on the default argument in the virtual function, and we are going to see the theoretical portion of RTTI. So let us start with the practical session first, and then we will switch on the theoretical aspect. Now let us give the comment line first. This is a example which represents default argument in virtual function. So example of default argument to virtual function. Now we are going to include two header files, iostream.h and has include conio.h. Now create one class called base. Now public virtual void display integer x equals to 10. So this is the default argument which we have passed with the virtual keyword. Now cout \n base class display method which contains value x and variable x. Similarly, I am going to create one more class which is called derived class. I am going to inherit public base. In the base class, public going to apply one note. Please refer it properly. Here, if you pass default argument in derived class, then also it will call base class default argument value. That means, so it is better to avoid default argument in virtual function. Void virtual void display, inside display integer x. Now cout \n derived class display function and value of x would be of x. Now we are going to implement the body of void main clr ser and get ch. We are going to create object of derived class d1, pointer object of base class b1 equals to, we are going to give the reference of d1, b1 of display will display the value of base class. Let me save the program number 7 or 8. You can give any program name. Now let me explain the program. First of all, let us execute. The output is 10. Now see what happens. I have created object of derived class, pointer object of base class, passing reference to the derived class and b1 of display. So naturally the object b1 contains base class pointer, so it will print the base class display by x. Now suppose if I am going to pass 30 over here, in that cases it will print 30 on the screen. How 30 is printed? Using derived class display over here, because see, in which case when you do not pass any argument, at that time it will call the default value which is passed by the base class. See, listen carefully. Whatever I am delivering from the video, that you need to listen carefully. Right now this is the first situation where I have not passed any value in the display function. So base class contains the value of x by 10, that is the default value of x. So it will print base class display x by 10. Sorry, derived class display by the 10, because whatever the value you are going to pass, that is initialized by the value of x. Now what happens when you are going to pass any values from the void main, right? At that time it will call the value of x by 30. So remember one thing, that if you do not pass any value, it will be initialized by the 10. When you pass any value, it will be displayed using that particular value. One more thing, or we can say that is the drawback. Say for example, I am going to pass default value in derived class. Listen carefully. This is the third change I am going to perform. I am going to initialize the value of x by 20 in derived class, and I am not passing any value from void main. Now what will be the output? In that case also, whatever the default value we have passed with the base class, it will initialize the value of x by 10. So whatever the value you have passed in the derived class, it becomes useless. So over here I have given the comment line, you need to read it. Not here, if you pass default argument in derived class, over here we have passed it, then also it will call base class default argument value. Sorry. So it is better to avoid default argument in virtual function. I am going to repeat this program once again. Suppose if you are passing, right now I am going to avoid this 20. Our program is like this, right? So in the void main, I have not passed any value with the void main, right? So what happens now? It will initialize the value of x by 10, and it will call display method of derived class. So it will print derived class display x would be 10. Now suppose if I am going to pass 30, at that time also it will print derived class display value is 30. Now suppose consider the situation where I am going to initialize the value of derived class variable x by 20, right? So in this case also it will print x by 10. That is the drawback of this particular giving default argument to virtual function, because if the default argument is given in both the base class as well as derived class, at that time it will automatically considers the value of base class variable. So it becomes useless to give or initialize the value of variable in the default argument. Now let me share the notepad file for this particular program. This is the only program which we have performed, because as I have told you that our unit is divided into two portions. So over here we are going to complete pointer, virtual functions, polymorphism and RTTI. So this is the first program and last program of this unit. Class base, you need to write the comment line in the program. Over here 10 is okay, but when you are going to initialize the value of x in derived class, at that time also it will initialize the value of x by 10. So it is recommended not to use default argument in the with the virtual function. Let me scroll down. If you pass 30, at that time it will consider 30. Otherwise, in all the cases, it will print 10, and it will print the value of derived class, because we have given the reference of virtual and we have given the reference of derived class. So this program you need to write in the journal, and two ways you can write output. First is called B of display. It will print derived class display x equals to 10. When you remove the comment from this line, it will print derived class x equals to 30. Now let us start with the theoretical portion of RTTI. RTTI stands for Runtime Type Identification. This is the full form which you need to mug up, because in the 1-mark question, this question may be asked. So RTTI, from its name only you can get that which type of object is there or created at runtime. It also allows you to check whether an object is of particular type or whether two objects are at the same time. That thing you can check with the RTTI. What is the full form of RTTI? Runtime. Runtime means when you are going to execute your program, at that time you can get that this which type of object you have created. That thing you can identify with the help of RTTI. Now it allows you to check that which type of object you have created, and that is of same data type or that is of different type. This can be done using type ID operator, which determines the actual type of its argument. In C++, there are three main elements used for runtime type identification. That means using these three type of elements, you are able to perform RTTI. RTTI is nothing but to see that how many objects you have created, and you can check that object runtime. Three elements can be performed using the runtime type identification. Number one, the dynamic underscore cast operator. Number two, the type ID operator. And number three, type underscore info operator. The dynamic cast operation operator is used generally to convert base class to the derived class object. So when there is a requirement to convert base class object into the derived class operator or object, that is called dynamic cast operator. Next is called type ID operator. Type ID operator is used to identify the actual type of object. So when you want to identify the type of object, with the help of type ID operator, you are able to identify such kind of object. Third is called type info operator. It is related with the type ID operator, and this class stores the type information written by the type ID operator. So these both are related with each other. When you want to get the information regarding the type, at that time you can get it using type ID operator. So these three are the elements using which you can get the information regarding runtime type identification. And runtime type identification is nothing but you can check your object at a runtime. Now see, when you want to see the example of RTTI, at that time that thing is not possible in the Turbo C editor, but in Visual C++ you are able to run the program which is based on the runtime type identification. So these are the steps which you need to follow when you want to execute your project using RTTI. First of all, go to the project menu, then select settings, go to C or C++ tab. From the category, you just need to select C++ language and check enable runtime type identification or information. In program, when you want to perform your program based on the type information, at that time typeinfo.h is a header file through which you can add such kind of header file. So these all are the steps which you have to perform while you want to execute your project under RTTI. Again, I am going to repeat that when you want to perform the program based on the RTTI, at that time that program can be run using Visual C++. That means in our lab we are using Turbo C editor, so this facility is not available. And when you are working with a Visual C++, at that time these are the steps which you need to follow. First of all, you just need to click on the project menu. Inside project menu you will find one option, settings. In that, click on the C or C++ tab. In that, you need to select category of C++ language, because our program is developed using C++ language. Then you are having one checkbox in which you need to click runtime type information, and at last you need to include header file type info.h. Using this header file you are having type id variable, which you can get the information regarding the id of your type. So let us recall this once again, because this theory is important. RTTI stands for runtime type identification. From its name only you can get that when you want to check that which type of object is created, and this can be checked as a runtime, at that time you can use the concept of RTTI. When you are going to use RTTI, at that time it allows you to check whether an object is of particular type, or that particular object, two objects are of same type. So this can be done using type ID operator, which determines the actual type of its argument. In C++, there are three main elements used for runtime type identification. Number 1, the dynamic cast operator. Number 2, the type ID operator. And number 3, type information operator. Now, dynamic cast operator is it is used for the conversion of between base class and derived class object. Type ID operator is used to identify the actual type of object, and type information operator is used to store the class, the type of information returned by the type ID operator. So these both are connected with each other. When you want to get the information regarding the type, at that time using type ID operator you can get this type of information. In our lab we are using Turbo C editor, so the RTTI based program is not possible, but when you want to run that program, at that time you need to install Visual C++, which gives you the facility to execute your program based on the RTTI. And there are several steps which you need to follow. Number 1, you just need to go to the project menu. In the project menu, select settings. Inside settings, click on the C or C++ tab. Our project or program is developed using C++ language. So from the category list, you need to select C++ language. Then you need to check on the checkbox RTTI. RTTI means runtime type information or identification. So you need to click on that, and at last you need to keep in the mind that whenever you are going to perform practicals based on the RTTI, at that time you need to include header file type info.h, so that you can use type ID and type information. So this is all about our today's session, and over here we are going to complete the second half of unit number 4. In our next video we are going to study and we are going to start with the console IO operations. There are basically 9 programs we need to perform. So in the 2 videos, one is related with the formatted IO and formatted stream classes, and second portion, that means second video contains the programs based on the unformatted or formatted. So one video is based on the formatted IO and other video is based on the unformatted IO. So we will definitely see the formatted and unformatted IO based programs in our next video. And one more concept which is called manipulators, which we have already taken in our previous sessions, that we are going to discuss over here. So that we will start with the next two videos and we are going to complete this unit. So this is all from my side. Thank you all.